This is another CQ Blind Hams podcast.
Hello again from November Echo 5 Victor. My name is Chris.
Control
I'm in
dialog.
Texas.
Play 3 button.
And I want to talk about the GD77S. I did a podcast last week about the stable version of the Open GD77 firmware for the GD77S. I want to talk today about using the unstable version. I've been playing with it for a week, and it makes the GD77S an entirely different radio. About the only thing I can really say is if you choose to use this Open GD77 firmware for the GD77S, your best thing to do is forget what you know about the GD77S, because to do this in the most efficient manner, it takes an entirely different approach. Now, on the old GD77S with the original firmware, I'm going to call it old or new because that's kind of how I think about it. In the old GD77S, we were encouraged to do things this way: create a contact, and this contact would go in a receive group all by its lonesome. Receive group would go into a channel would go to a zone. On the new GD77S, with the open firmware installed, you create a contact, a receive group, a channel, and a zone. But there's a difference. You can have, I'm thinking up to, I don't know, at least 85 contacts in one receive group. I'm not really sure how many you can have in there. I've not done this, because my old GD77S, I had 27 channels that had DMR entries in them. In the new GD77S, I've incorporated all of these into one channel. That's all I need. I have a second channel for a parrot because that's a private call. That's why I had to do it that way. But all of my DMR entries are now on one channel. So, of course, that makes a whole lot of difference. Anyway, I'll explain all that in a little bit. But anyway, the first question that I get, or I've gotten since I did this, is how does one install this stuff? There is a program out there that is available from GitHub, and we should be able to get these on the show notes link. But it's from GitHub. The program is called Open GD77 CPS installer. Anyway, you install that, and anyway, once you install it, you get something like this.
Windows M. O.
I'm going to open up this software here.
Enter. Open GD77 CPS left parent build date 2020.07.12 right parent C : /Radioddity /GD77BH /WB5 NFS _07 13 2020.G77 3.
Okay, I've been working on a code plug for a guy, so I'll go ahead and use this as an example because it's pretty much got it. But anyway, the first thing one does if one wants to load this particular software is you can hit Alt-E for extras.
Alt-E menu, extras menu, download contacts D. Firmware loader F.
I can up arrow to firmware.
Firmware loader F.
Firmware loader, or else I can hit the F for firmware loader. So I hit enter here.
Enter. Leaving menus. Firmware loader. Select your radio type. Radioddity GD77/10MD-760 radio button checked. 1 of 4. Alt +7.
Now there's 4 or actually 8 different radio choices. Each one of these choices will allow you to do 2 radios. In this case, I want the GD77-S, so I'm going to down arrow.
Radioddity GD77S/10MD-730 radio button checked. 2 of 4. Alt +S.
Okay. So now I'm going to tab over to
Download and update button. Alt +D.
download and update. That's the first thing on the list. I'll hit the space bar on this.
Space. 100%. Firmware loader. Select version. Stable 2020.06.27 button. Alt +S.
There's the stable version.
Unstable 2020.06.28 button. Alt +U.
There's the unstable version. Now at this point, it's just like loading anything else. You pull the rubber cover back on the right hand side of the GD77-S, plug in your cable, hold the 2 buttons in on the left side, turn the radio on, listen for the sound of the little tick-a-doom. Anyhow, wait for that, then press the space bar or enter, and it will upload the firmware to the radio. And when you get the OK, hit the space bar, turn the radio off, unplug it, because we want to make sure that the firmware updated. When you turn on the radio, again, you'll hear a da-da-da-da-da if everything worked correctly. That's all you hear. It's actually pretty loud. Anyway, that will put in the new firmware. Now, this allows you also to write voices. You can have a different voice, and you're going to want to do this because the new GD77 has more prompts than what the old GD77S has. I think I said GD77 a while ago. Should be GD77S. We've been talking about both of these, and I sometimes interchange. But this is really the GD77S. So,
Alt F4. Open GD.
Anyway, open the software again. We're going to hit Alt E for extras.
Alt E.
Let's see
Alt
here.
F4. Preview. W. B.
Yeah, Alt E.
Alt E. Menu. Extras menu. Download contacts. D.
And then I'm going to hit an O for open support.
O. Leaving menus. Open GD77 support. Restore EEPROM button.
Arrow to right voice prompts.
Right codeblik button. Read codeblik button. Backup EEPROM button. Restore calibration button. Right voice prompts button.
Hit enter.
Space. Open GD77 support. Select Open GD77 COM port. Edit combo.
Well, anyway, I don't have a radio hooked up because I'm not really doing
Escape.
this. But
Alt F4.
anyway, you can write the voice prompts. If you haven't done anything yet before, if you haven't written a code blog or anything, it's going to hunt the voice prompts down in my documents, which you're not going to want to do. You go to where you stored your code plugs and everything. I have a folder specifically for this Open GD77 project. Anyway, I go to that particular folder, and then I choose the voice prompt I want. I hit enter, and it writes the voice prompts. So that's kind of how you do that. But now when you're writing your code plug, there's a few things I might point out about this software.
OK button. Space. Open GD escape. Download screen grab. Right voice prompts but.
Let's
Alt
go
F4.
back here.
Preview.
Now, there's a lot of features that are on this GD77. I guess it takes the tree view from the normal stock GD77, and there's a lot of features that when you hit them, it says not supported.
WB5, level 1, basic information, 1 of 15.
This basic information is no longer supported, so you get this.
Dialog. This feature is not supported in the Open GD77 firmware. OK button. Space. Enter. Preview. Boot item. Basic information. Boot item.
This you'll get support on.
Space. Boot item. Intro screen. Intro screen combo box. Picture 1 of 2. Line 1 edit. Line 2 edit. Intro screen combo box. Picture 1 of 2. Line 1. Line 2 edit. Intro screen combo box. Picture 1 of 2.
I don't do anything
Escape.
with that. So let's go on.
Close document
here.
window. Menu.
See, the menu is no longer supported.
Dialog. This feature is not supported in the Open GD77 space. Preview. Number key assign.
Number key assign is no longer supported.
General setting.
General settings. This used to have a bunch of items. This now only has 2. If I hit the space bar on it, or
General setting. Radio name edit. WB5NFS space.
there's your radio ID.
Radio ID edit 03133908.
There's your DMR ID edit.
Radio name edit.
That's all
WB.
it is. So anyway, when you get through with that,
Close
Control
document window.
F4,
General setting.
you're out of it.
Buttons.
Buttons is no longer supported, as you can see.
Dialog. This feature is not supported in the Open GD77 firmware. OK button. Space. Preview.
Anyways, because that's now assigned by the firmware. There's not a whole lot you can change, and, well, nor do I think you'd really want to.
Text message.
Text message is not supported.
Privacy.
Privacy is not supported.
Signaling system closed.
Signaling system is really not supported.
Contacts closed.
Contacts. The only contacts that are supported are digital contacts.
TG lists closed.
TG lists, of course, are supported.
Zones closed.
Zones.
Channels closed.
Channels.
Scan.
Scan.
VFO.
VFO, well, you don't really need that on a GD77. So what I did at this point,
Zones closed. Contacts closed.
contacts. So if we do it the way Ian says to do it, but I've discovered there's several ways to do this. I'm using a different way, but just for grins, I'll go ahead and do this the way Ian has us do it. Alt S, or yeah, Alt S for settings.
Alt S menu. Setting menu. Basic information. C. Contact sub menu. C.
Contact sub contact.
Enter. DTMF D. Digital contacts D. DTF digital contacts D.
Digital contacts.
Enter. Leaving menus. Contact. Combo box. Group call 1 of 2. 1. Internet download button off. Combo box. Group call 1 of 2. Add button. Clear button. Add button.
Now you can, if you want to do something really interesting here, you can add as many contacts here as you think you want to. You can hit the enter key. And I want to see something else.
Data preview table. Number 00 selected. 1. Column 65535. Row 655. Control I. Number row 1 selected. 2. Column 65535. Row 65535. Name row 1 selected. John and Jerry. Column 655. Name row 0 selected. Line Hams. Column 65. Control I. Name row 0 selected.
Okay, it doesn't really work that way. But anyway, alrighty. Let's try something here. Anyway, I've got, how many contacts have I got in this thing?
Name row 14 selected. Parrot. Column 6. Name row 21 selected. Quadnet. Column 6553. Name row 25 selected. Phoenix. Column. Name row 26 selected. ECR. Column 65535. Row 655.
Okay, I've got 25 contacts in here. And I can access them all on the same channel. But anyway, you add your contact details. You could put in a name and then the talk group number. Here's what this actually looks like.
Number 00 selected. 1. Column.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the contact name.
Name row 0 selected. Line Hams. Column 65535. Row 65535.
If I want to edit one of these things, I can hit the space bar.
Space. Digital contact. Name edit. Line Hams.
Because there's the blind hams.
Call ID edit 31679. None.
There's tabbed over, and there's the ID.
Call type combo box. Group call 1 of 3.
Group call. So you have 3 different types of calls.
Open GD77 channel TS override. Repeater slot combo box disabled 1 of 3. Lookup ID for Kelson. Name edit. Blind hams.
Anyway, there's another field here if you want to use a time slot override. This is useful, say, if you're on a repeater and you want to put some things on time slot 1 and some other things on time slot 2. You can do the time slot override. But for me, I use a hotspot, so I have that disabled. That's about all you really need. So anyway, once you get the contacts, all your contacts added, I'm going to hit Control F4 to get out
Close
of this
document window.
window.
Contact. Data grid view table. Number 001. Column 65535. Close document window.
So now I'm going to go to TG lists.
Alt S menu. Setting menu. Basic information.
Alt
T.
S for settings.
T. Text message. T. T. TG lists. T.
TG lists. I'll hit enter
Enter.
on it.
Leaving menus. TG list. Available. List box. Parrot 1 of 1. 0.
At the moment, there's only one TG list in here. And
Add button. Parrot 001 colon. Delete button. Available. List box. Parrot 1 of 1. Member. List box 001 colon. Blind hams 1 of 26. Parrot.
yeah, all right. So there are 26 contacts in here. So what you can actually do if you're developing a code, if you're starting from scratch, you can actually go in here and go to where it says add.
Available. List box. Parrot 1 of 1. 001 colon.
There's only one available. Interesting. Wonder if I can add that.
Delete button. Parrot. Add button. Space. Member. List box 027 colon. Parrot 27 of 27.
Well, how about that? All right. So with this new version of the CPS, you can actually put private contacts in a talk group list. I didn't realize that. Well, so I can actually get rid of a channel. Although there is something else I want to show you in here that you can do. You can actually organize the order of the contacts in this talk group. I actually wanted the disconnect to be the last one on here in the group, and I just added a channel, or I added a contact to the talk group, and I want to change that so I can have the disconnect on the end of it again. So I'm going to do that. First I'm going to find disconnect.
026 colon disk 26 of 27.
And I actually want to move it down. I put a real easy way to do this into the CPS. So I want to make parrot number 26 disconnect 27. So I'm going to hit control down arrow.
027 colon disk 27 of 27.
So that actually moved the disconnect to number 27 in the talk group list. Now that is a pretty neat feature. So I'm going to get out of here.
Close document window.
And okay, so the next thing I can actually do is I can create one channel for DMR. So we go to settings.
Alt S menu. Setting menu. Basic information. B. C. C. Channels. C.
Hit channels.
Enter. Leaving menus. Channels. Combo box. Analog. 1 of 2. Add button. Data grid view. Add button.
Now you can actually, if you're going to create several channels, I could hit enter on this add button for several times. That's kind of the best way to do that. So Anyway, what I'm going to do here is I've already got some of these created, so I'll just show you what they look like.
Data grid view table. Number row 0 selected. 1. Column 65535. Row 65535. Name row 0 selected. Hotspot. Column 65535. Row 65535. 433.25000. Space. Number row 0. 1.
So
column 65.
I go to the name field, hit space bar, and I get this. Name.
Digital 2 of 2.
Or I get mode first, which is digital.
Name
tab.
edit. Hotspot.
I hear name, hotspot.
RX reg left bracket MHZ right bracket edit 433.
There's a transmit frequency.
TX reg left bracket MHZ right bracket edit 433.2. RX reg left bracket.
All right. Receive frequency and transmit frequency.
TX reg left bracket MHZ right bracket edit 433.25000. Dot left bracket S right bracket edit spin box 180.
There's a timeout timer. By default, this thing sets it to infinity. I don't like that. I like to have a timeout timer. So after 3 minutes or 180 seconds, it's going to time out. Radio stops transmitting.
Vox checkbox not checked.
Vox I don't use.
Scan colon zone skip checkbox not checked.
Now here's your scan behavior, which on DMR I don't really use a scan. Of course, if it's only one channel, then it's not going to be necessary.
Scan colon all skip checkbox not checked. RX only checkbox not checked.
Yeah, RX only.
Digital repeater slot combo box 2 of 2.
On the PySpar, it's going to be slot 2, open spots, time slot 1. That's the way it normally seems to work.
TG list combo box Grandmeister 2 of 2.
Now there's my talk list.
None 1 of 2. Grandmeister.
I call this talk group that I'm working with Brandmeister. So that's what I have. On a tab.
Color code edit spin box
Color
1.
code. So you can choose your color code. This one's set at 1. That's where I want it. You can up and down arrow through the list.
0. 1.
You get up to, I guess, 15 or 16.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 0.
15, yeah.
1.
So you go 0 through 15.
Contact combo box blind hams 2 of 28.
Now this is your default contact. There's a whole bunch of contacts up here. And when I first go to this particular channel, I want it to go to blind hams. I don't have to.
None 1 of 28.
I could have it go to none.
Blind hams 2 of.
I want it to go to blind hams. So that's what it's going to do.
John and Jerry blind hams 2 of 28. Greater button.
And that's really it.
Close document.
So I'm going to close that. And then I want to zone it. Of course, there's only one channel in a zone. Or there's only one channel in this radio, so that'll be easy. Alt-S for settings.
Alt-S menu. Set Z. Zone basic. Z. Zone list. Z.
Go to zone list.
Enter. Leaving menus. Zone. Available. List box. 104. Down button. 1. Member. List box. Up. Down button. Name edit. Add button. Name edit. DMR.
Now, here's the DMR zone. And at this particular moment, there's only 2 channels in this radio. Or, well, yeah, 1 channel in
Add
this
button.
radio.
Available. List box. 146.88. 1 of 1. Member. List box. 001 colon hotspot. 1 of 002 colon parrot. 2 of 2.
Actually, I don't need that one. I'm reworking this as I go. So I'm going to delete this.
Delete button. 100 space. Available. List box. Parrot. 2 of 2. 146.88. 100.
Oops.
Parrot 2 of 2. 146 point. Member list. Add button. Name edit. Member. Available. Add button. 1 name edit. DM. Member list box. 001 colon hotspot. 1 of.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. Hotspot is in the DMR zone. That's what I wanted. But then now if you go to analog, well, it's a whole different ball of wax. You do it kind of like you did the old GD77, 1 analog per channel. But I particularly wanted to focus on DMR. That's really what I've got in this radio, and that's really all I needed. Now the beauty of this is if I want to use a DMR repeater and I want to be able to use the same talk groups that I do on my hotspot, I can. Because what I'll do is I'll go to add a channel, put in the transmit frequency and receive frequencies and color codes, and then I can associate the Brandmeister talk group with the repeater. And that's really all you need to do on that. It makes it kind of handy, so kind of makes DMR operation on the GD77S very much like the GD77. So anyway, give me just a second here. I will go get the GD77S, and you can actually see how all of this works.
Gold wave.
So I should probably
Gold wave.
pause this recording for just a moment. Alright, I am back, and I now have my new GD77 in hand. So I'm going to turn this on. It's going to do something a little different. I've added some custom tones to this, so I don't think I'm going to go into exactly what happened. But first of all, let's look at the controls here. On the top, on the very left-hand side, I have a on and off or power switch and volume control. Next to that is the channel knob, which has 16 positions. Next to that, next to the antenna, is an orange button, which when you long press it is a battery indicator. When you short press it, it is a menu button. So anyway, and then on the left hand side, on the top left, you have a PTT button, push to talk. Down below it, you have two other buttons, which we will call SK1 and SK2. And they do different functions. When you short press these two buttons, it'll cycle in whichever mode you're in. If you're in channel mode, it'll cycle through the contacts. If you're in scan mode, it either turns it on or off. If in filter mode, changes the filters, so on. We'll explain that as we go. But this thing has different modes now than the old GD77. So I'm going to turn this on, and it's going to come up in channel mode.
Channel 1, HOTSPOT.
This is Matthew's voice. This, to me, isn't one of the best ones, but it'll do for now. So if I can cycle through these contacts, by default it's on blind hams. I can verify this by going back.
Contact DISC.
I punched the SK2 button on the bottom, and that took me to a disconnect.
Contact BLINDHAMS.
Of course, it spells everything, so you may want to make these names a little shorter. I've been kind of playing with the idea.
Contact JOHNANDJERRY.
That's a local talk group that I get in.
Contact DALKBOX.
That's the North American talk box.
Contact
Hit SKD.
DEXASSTEWIDE.
Anyway, I guess you get the idea.
Contact BLINDHAMS.
If I were to long press the top button there, SK1, I get this. I'll get a frequency.
432.5 HOTSPOT. Contact BLINDHAMS. time slot 2, color code 1.
Now, if I were in analog and in repeater mode, now this thing, if the transmit and receive frequency are the same, you're only going to get it once. Now, if the transmit frequency and receive frequency are programmed differently, then it'll give you your transmit frequency and receive frequency. I believe it starts with the receive frequency and then transmit frequency, but anyway, you get the general idea. Now I'm going to long press this orange button on the top.
Battery 100%.
Instead of voltage, this gives you battery percentage. And I've run this down to about 15% before it completely dies. But anyway, we're in channel mode. So we're going to think of this orange button or the button next to the antenna. We're going to call this a menu button. So if I press this button once,
Scan mode, scan off.
if I want to turn scan mode on,
Scan off. Scan off. Channel 1. HOTSPOT.
I'm going to hit the menu key again.
Time slot mode. Time slot 2.
Now if I need to, for whatever reason, change this radio to time slot 1,
Time slot 1. Time slot 2. Time slot 1. Time slot 2.
now this wraps, and as you see, these are the only choices that I have. I'm going to hit this thing again,
Color code mode. Color code 1.
so you can actually change the color codes.
Color code 0. Color code 0.
This one doesn't wrap,
Color code 1.
so if I want to go different color codes,
Color code 2.
I'm hitting SK1,
Color code 3. Color code 4. Color code 5. Color code 6. Color code 7. Color code 8. Color code 9. Color code 1. 0.
Anyway, you get the idea, it just keeps going.
Color code 1.
So I want color code 1, so I'm going to leave it there.
Filter mode. Filter CCTS.
Now this gets rather interesting. This is the filter mode. By default, this open firmware software puts this thing in what I would call, well, what the user guide calls promiscuous mode. Now there's several choices here. I'm going to arrow down.
Filter. None.
There's no filters. So if you're sitting on a repeater or a hotspot with more than one active time group and one or more active time slots, more than one active color code on none, this thing's going to hear everything on DMR. So you may not want that. So the choices here are none.
Filter. None.
It doesn't wrap. So I'm going to hit the SK1 button.
Filter CC.
Now everything on a particular color code it'll hear on time slot 1 or time slot 2. Everything associated with the color code it'll hear.
Filter CCTS.
CCTS. That's color code and time slot. So it's going to hear everything that you have active on time slot 1 or whatever time slot you're on. In this case, in our code plug example, it's time slot 2.
Filter CCTS PG.
Okay. Now, okay, there's a bit of a difference here on this time slot, on this one that I looked at before, which is this.
Filter CCTS.
Say if you're on a repeater or a hotspot that has an active talk group that isn't in your TG list, you are going to be able to hear it. if it is active on the repeater. You can still use it, and I'll explain that in a minute. All right.
Filter C C T S P G.
Anyway, this only the contacts listed in the talk group you'll hear.
Filter C C T S C T.
Now suppose that's all right. Now that I'm thinking is going to be such to where you're only going to hear what on the contact that's selected. So in other words, if you have blind hams selected and you go off of blind hams, well, you're not going to hear blind hams. You would on the others, but anyway.
Filter C C T S R X G.
Receive group. I'm not exactly sure what that does.
Filter C C T S R X G.
Anyway, that's the only. Oh, receive tone. Okay, I've never used that, so I'm not exactly sure how that works. So I'm going to go back to where I normally have it.
Filter C C T S.
Okay, CCTS. That's where I keep mine. Okay, I'm going to hit this thing again, this menu key again, which is the top right key right next to the antenna.
Zone mode. Zone D M R. Zone A N A L O G. Channel 1 W X A U S T I N.
All right, anyway.
M R. Channel 1 H O T S P O T.
All right, so the analog, the GMR hotspot, that's zone 1. That's the hotspot zone. Anyway, no, DMR zone, that's right, DMR zone. So anything related to DMR I can put in this zone. I can put 16 channels in that zone and run through them. But, you know, the way we're going, I can actually use these channels more efficiently. All right, let's go to the next mode.
Power mode. Power 50 milliwatts. 50 milliwatts.
This doesn't wrap. So apparently the lowest setting I'm capable of having is 50 milliwatts.
250 milliwatts.
I'm going to keep going upward.
500 milliwatts. 750 milliwatts. 1 watt. 2 watts. 3 watts. 4 watts. 5 watts. 5 watts plus plus. 5 watts plus plus.
And that works out to actually what? I'm told 7 watts on 2 meters. 4 watts on 70 centimeters. So anyway, let's get back. I'm going to go back to 50 milliwatts.
Channel mode. H O T S P
I hit the
time slot 2.
a menu key and we're back where we started. So that's sort of an overview how these things work. There's one particular thing that I haven't talked about yet, and I'm not sure if I can actually get this to work because there's usually not much activity this time of day. But I can explain it anyway. As I said, this thing is running in promiscuous mode. Now, say if you're on a repeater or on a hotspot and there's more than one particular talk group that is active that's being monitored. I'll just use this as an example. We're on blind hams. Somebody on worldwide talk group 91 comes on. You hear it. You want to talk to that particular individual. Well, now you remember your actual transmit talk group is going to be blind hams because that may have been where you were active. Now, if you hear this guy on Worldwide and you want to talk to him, the quickest way to get there is to long press HK2. When you long press HK2, it'll say select contact. So next time you key up your hotspot, you will actually be on Worldwide. Now the way you can prove that is to long press the top key, or SK1. Long press SK1. It'll give you your frequency, time slot, color code, and the contact, it will say TG91. In other words, it doesn't really use the contact names that you've assigned. It uses the last heard talk group. So that will mean that you're going to actually transmit on the talk group you last heard, or what you chose to transmit on. I don't know if I can get that to actually work now, but that's more or less the way it works. So anyhow, there is a description of what the GD77-S is capable of with this open source firmware. They've done some really neat things with it. I'm hearing a lot of discussion about the GD77, and granted, it makes the radio quite a bit more accessible. But, there are people who may not want to get a GD77. Now, I'll put it this way. If I didn't, the GD77 and GD77S are pretty much the same price. So naturally, I'm going to get a GD77 because it can do a few things, of course, that the GD77S does not. But if one already has a GD77S and wants to improve its accessibility, well then by all means, try it. Let's say I've had pretty good luck with this, and I rather like the way it works. So I will close this podcast and be glad to answer what questions I can. I'm usually on the Blind Hams net in the morning hours, Central Time, or one can reach me by email at November Echo 5 Victor 1953 at gmail.com, and be glad to answer what I can. I'm by no means an expert on it, but I just don't think that we need to completely ignore a GD77. It's quite useful this way.